Yo, what's up guys, I'm Fire here back on the video, man, and today we're going to be bringing you guys my gun trio offset offensive scheme. This is a formation that I posted in Madden 20 and Madden 21. You guys actually loved it both times, so we're back again in Madden 22. I don't know too many people run this. I've heard that someone does, I think, but this is a very unique formation. Not too many people run the trio offset is pretty much what I was going at, and yeah, we're going to show you guys how to run it. Now we're in the spread offensive playbook. On offense, it's the playbook that has, 20 of these gun formations, just a ton of gun formations. But we're going to be in the trio offset. Now you can actually kind of combine it with this trio offset weak. That's decent. It's not as good, so we'll run the trio offset for now. But the reason it's good, why is this formation so special? It's because of the fact that you can actually get 4 wide receivers and a wide receiver at tight end. So we have Jacoby Myers here at tight end. The way you do that is you simply go to the 4 wide receiver package in the bottom left corner right there. And yeah, it's going to put, I don't know which one, if it's your wide receiver 1 or whatever, but I think Myers would be their wide receiver 1 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's going to be it. Now going through these plays, you got level sail, inside zone, PA shot post, tight end in, read option, power O. Just got a ton of good plays. Now we're going to go over a total of 5 plays, and that's going to be the RPO alert bubble, level sail, verticals, PA post shot, and then the flanker dig on the bottom there. There's also a really good run the buck sweep. I like that a lot. You have read options. So if you don't like the RPO alert bubble, you can go any of those other inside zone or read options. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start out with our flanker dig. So flanker dig is going to be a pretty good passing play, and the main reason is James White's route. I like that route a lot. Also, if this tight end can get up the seam, if it's some kind of a cover 2, he can actually get wide open because of the speed that you might have there. If you can get Tyreek Hill there in regs or someone, it can be deadly. Now the setup I like out of this is just to simply flat Y, and that's going to be it. We're going to motion him across, and you have just a basic play like this that's going to be pretty dang solid. Now your first read out of this play should be our boy James White on his little wheel route. I like that wheel route a lot, similar to the mesh post one. Those of you that run bunch know what I'm talking about, but he's going to be your first read. Your first read should be Y technically, which you could actually throw this to Y if you really wanted to, but your first read is going to be RB and B. So you can read either of those. Of course, we'll see what he does with his user, which would have a lot of effect on it. Out of this formation, I wouldn't expect your opponent to necessarily be usering over to the running back side, but if he were, that's where you would go to the other reads, which mainly would be your tight end seam. Of course, if you're throwing it early, you could have Jacoby Myers open. Now, this would mainly be against it would mainly only be open against someone who is leaving the middle of the field to only their user. So if they have no help in the middle of the field from any zones, that's where you could throw that seam route. Against this look, it's not really going to be too good. There you see we hit the zig route with Aguilar. But, I mean, this is just a really good setup in my opinion. Pretty dang good. If you want to, what you can do is delay fade A as well. If you figure, hey, I'm not throwing that seam route, it's not really having an effect, I'm going to get some extra protection. This is certainly an option. Now, you could expect that hook curl to defend it, which you see there. We still had the in route through to late, of course, but you see it was open initially, which I'll just run the next play so you can see. But yeah, man, this is a pretty good setup. Again, I like to at least keep the flat and the in the running back route with this. You notice something special with that in route. He seems to break a little bit faster. That's something that I've noticed than the traditional in route, so it can be even better. But yeah, man, I like this setup a lot. As far as some other setups you could run, maybe I run a setup even like this, where we hitch B. You could run a setup like this easily if you wanted to, realistically. And this might help you out hit N'Keal Harry. You have a little smoke screen hitch. This is a decent spacing concept. Your wheel route might not be as open, but you can do cool things like that. But we do have a lot of plays, so we will continue to get into these rest of the plays. We'll start out with this RPO alert bubble, which is the only run that we're talking about. Now, with this RPO alert bubble, it's just going to be a little bit better, in my opinion, than the normal inside zone. I would either go read option or this RPO alert bubble. I wouldn't ever really run the normal inside zone, just because you're only hurting yourself if you're not using things like this. And you see, against the particular defense that we're in, he's leaving the RPO actually open every single time. Literally every time he's leaving him open. So that is interesting. It depends formation to formation and the defensive adjustments, of course. But, I mean, if that RPO is open, take it. Now, we still can go ahead hand the football off and get a decent chunk of yardage. Now, if the defense is, of course, playing inside, you're going to throw the RPO, and the inside zone is going to be a little bit more defended because you don't have a slot wide receiver blocking. So if you don't want to throw the RPO for whatever reason, you want to get yards in the inside zone, you could do that. But, I mean, the RPO is going to get you more runs than an inside zone realistically probably does anyway if you're able to throw that. So that's just my reasoning behind it. I wouldn't really do that unless I had to. But, I mean, you can kind of cut this back. As long as my O-line are able to kind of not double team and actually pick up that second level, that would still be a decent gain. But yeah, I mean, you want to throw the RPO if you can because it's going to pick you up probably the most yardage, and again, probably more than the handing the ball off would. So just a simple thing there. Of course, you can pick up a couple handing it off on this RPO, and if you're able to take this linebacker out of the play, whatever the case may be, maybe you're able to pick up more. Something I've done is these guys not running routes, you can actually motion them over and they turn into hitches. So I don't know if that interests you guys, but realistically, that's something you could do. Now, this particular RPO, he's not going to keep the ball, so he's going to hand it off. So those hitches, unless you're able to snap throw them, not as used, but the motion can still be a little bit confusing. And if you want to move a guy from the left to right, that's definitely an option. Moving on to the levels. Levels sale. Sometimes called levels Y sale. We're just going to streak B for this first setup and run it like this. Just a decent setup. I like the corner out. It is a little bit up the field, so I know some of you guys like it when it cuts to the sideline. There's nothing much that you can do about the particular corner out unless you had a tight end apprentice, but you can definitely throw it earlier like here. That's probably my best recommendation. Against this cover 3, if you really wanted to open it up more and get it completely open, what you could do is just motion your streak over. So I could just motion Nelson across. I could actually wait for him to get set if I wanted to, turn it into a doubles. And this should open up Jacoby Myers. You see just how deep he goes. So even though on the play art it shows him breaking at about, that 8-yard mark, he cuts super deep upfield. And even with the clear out, it's kind of a tight pass. So that is something that should be noted, but let's try a little, streak here. And these don't really work because of the new patch to where it takes him 20 yards to cut up field. So if you motion snap him, I don't think that's really a good option at all. But yeah, this setup again, you can hit James White. He doesn't seem to be open against a stock cover 3, but of course you might not be going against stock cover 3 every play. I would at least hope not. But yeah, it's going to be your first setup. Now, the second setup is going to be pretty much the same. We're just going to put RB on a wheel route. We're going to curl B. You can run it a variation of ways. The first way would be to run it like this. Now, you can flip the hitch and the curl if you want to. Just depends on the personal preference. I think I usually run it like this, if I'm not mistaken. The curl in the slot, but usually one of those 3 routes will always be open. If it's man coverage, you can throw on break, aggressive catch, and it'll be a reception. But against any zone, I believe, in the game, any combination of these will be open. I believe this one is not the one you like. Yeah, this one you see, it's just kind of weird. Just the changing, you go down, up, down. I don't really like that. So I believe the better one is going to be like this. And again, X, I could throw it here, pick up some yardage, but I mean, yeah, just a good spacing concept. I love this concept out of trips and pretty much out of any play. And again, you have your wheel and corner on the outside if you need it. That's going to take us to the verticals play. I definitely like this play a lot. This is similar to the bunch route just because Aguilar has this deep crosser that no zone drop in the game can defend. It beats man coverage, so it's just really good from that standpoint. Now, probably my favorite way to run this play is going to be delay fade A, curl X, and then just put Y on the regular streak, and usually I just motion him over. Now with Y, again, I don't like the slot, the way that the slot guys snap it, so I might just motion him completely across like this. And you could run it without that streak. It's not needed as Aguilar gets bumped, but again, it's just a clear out. It just opens up. He should be opened up without the clear out, which will show next play. So if you wanted to quick snap, you certainly could. Just maybe a delay fade A, snap the ball, and then usually that RB running back route's good enough to pull down any kind of a zone draw, or any kind of a user rather. But yeah, I do like the streak a little bit better. You guys might have been able to see why just from that play, but I feel like this setup gives you the best. I could go in route as well if I wanted to. So you go in route. Here's it with the motion snap. And when you wait a little bit longer, that might be a little bit better because he's not going to get that super delayed streak type of a look. But probably your best bet's going to be completely to motion him across. Now, as far as some of the other things we could do, maybe I slant this X receiver. You know, maybe I could do something like that because, again, these guys are running at different depths, so the slant's not actually going to do much. You throw it to B, drop back a little bit too far, but that would be a decent kind of flood concept with a backside running back route. But, yeah, man, we're going to run it a couple more times. I want to throw it to the running back a little bit more, but you could also keep Y on this little streak, this little fade route. You can actually smart route it. It's not terrible. I don't think it really makes a difference, but here you see James White out of the backfield. That route's going to be man. It's going to usually be open against zone as well. So you have a ton of options in that play. All right, now our last play is going to be the PA post shot. And this one's a little bit different. This is more of a traditional PA crossers look out of this trio offset. So this route with Harry is going to be a lot deeper than the verticals one as seen in the play art. You do have a nice little stock deep post. You always love those from Kendrick Bourne, cover 2 beaters, so we're going to usually leave him alone. But as far as the route combinations, you can do a couple of different things. The first way is we're just going to streak Y, put RB on this under route, and then we're just going to motion Harry over again. Again, these clear outs, they're only going to help you out. I like having delay fades out of these types of concepts because, again, a lot of these are rollout dependent. And anytime you're intending to roll out to the right, that's when the delay fades help you a ton. So similar to that bunch tight end that everybody knows. So again, we're kind of creating a bunch tight end look. Realistically, if I wanted to, maybe we can go with something like this, which again, the streaks are so, I hate the streaks so much, the way that they fix them. It doesn't really affect in this instance, which you see, that's a blind read, but the drag was open. But again, I'm just not a big fan of them. So if I don't need the streak, I'll just throw them on a delay fade. I like that a little bit better. Don't know what you guys feel like. If I wanted to, I could also just run it like this. Maybe I leave my streak over there. Decent quick snap. You have a little crosser. You have an underneath route. Chances are he follows the running back route, if I had to guess. And your crosser is left open, depending on how his zone drops are set. I could also maybe just throw A on a little out flat route, whatever I want. Something like this would not be a terrible because realistically, I'm going to roll out, and this is going to open up our crosser wide open. So you see, we're usually adjusting 2 routes a lot of times in these plays. We're going to keep B, we're going to keep X, and then we're going to keep running back on his same route the entire time. We're usually just adjusting A and Y. Whether it's a delay fade flat, Y is usually on a streak, but I mean, if I wanted to, I could... Maybe I just drag him again, we streak A, or I could still delay fade A like this. You could do a couple of different things. I'll show one more kind of variation that we can go with as we get shedded. But yeah, I mean, also, you're blocking a receiver. Don't expect him to be super good. That might be why we're getting shedded. But one last thing, we'll go like this. So we have 2 drags, a crosser, and a streak, and a delay fade. So, I mean, this would not be terrible as well. Just creating some cool things. And then if you are able to throw this delay fade, you have a receiver. So you have a receiver in the open field. You can pick up a ton of yards after the catch, whereas the tight end might not be picking up as many as you normally would. That's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you maybe want to see this in the gameplay. But that's going to do it for me, and peace. I'm out of here.